look what I got here. So the cabinets that I ordered in the mail a few days ago came today. So I'm going to try to put these together, build them. I don't think it'll take me that long. And then I don't know if I'm ready to attach them up there yet, but I can at the very least build them, see what they look like, and kind of float them up there and see how it looks. I don't know when I'll attach them. Maybe sooner than later. Maybe I'll start putting up the insulation today. I don't know. But I'm going to build them, at least one of them, and see what they look like. And here we are. So I have cabinet 1 of 2 built. I think this looks pretty nice. It looks like what I want. Just kind of swing this open. Give you a look inside real quick. It does have a lot of wood glue in it right now that's, I think, still drying, so I'm going to let it sit here for a little bit. But I think this looks good. I think this is going to look real nice up there with a pair of them. So I need to build the other one. I need to let the wood glue dry. And I might not hang them up immediately, but I'm going to hang them up at some point. But I'm pretty happy with this. It's kind of nice to see the cosmetic things in the van coming together. So I'm going to work on the other one, get it built, and continue. Alright, so it is a new day. What should I get done today, I'm wondering. Here's what I'm thinking. I think what I should start doing today is I think I should start putting in the insulation on the walls. I've already done most of the wiring that will go around, so I can kind of slip the insulation behind that. The insulation isn't really going to get in the way of the wiring that's already there. I'll just need to kind of pull the wiring tight whenever I'm ready to finalize it and seal it up. So I think I'm at the point where I can put in the insulation, have it in place, so that whenever I'm done putting things on the walls, I can close everything up and put in the cosmetic wall that you'll actually see, because you won't see any of these studs or anything when I'm done. So I think that's going to be my goal for today, is get started on that. I don't know if I'm going to do it all today, but I'm going to get started on that. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I want to put insulation back there behind these studs. So I cut out a couple pieces of foam insulation. I have a good amount of this kind of square foam stuff left over from the floor and ceiling. So I'm going to try to put that back there where it's mostly flat, just to kind of soak up some surface area. Aside from that, I have this wool insulation that I plan on putting in the areas that are not flat or just harder to get to. So like the ceiling right here that's very curved, the kind of seams, and up there in those little pockets up there. Everywhere that's harder to get to, I'm going to use that insulation. But I'm going to get started on that now. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking with the insulation. As you can see here, I already tried putting some on, but this isn't working. The spray-on glue stuff that I bought just doesn't work right. The foam, it's not sticking. You can see it's like a little stringy there. You can see it just peels off. The wool insulation over here, you can see it just kind of like also falls off. It doesn't stick on. So here's what I'm thinking I will do with the insulation. Because I don't want to just stuff the insulation in there. I could just stuff a whole bunch of it back there and hope that it stays in place, but I'm thinking if I don't have something pushing up against the insulation to hold it in place, then just over time with the vibrations and the bouncing in the car as I drive around, I feel like the insulation is just going to slowly shuffle its way down and not become as effective. So up here I can probably stuff insulation in there just fine, but for these taller sections, I think I'll just cut out some pieces of like plywood and have a small piece of plywood jutting out here and poking out. And I can just stab it right into this foam and use that to hold it in place. I think that will work well. It won't add much weight to the van. And that way I'll have something pushing up on the insulation and holding it in place. Because right now, the way this works, it's not gonna work. So I am going to try that. All right, so I'm gonna take this piece of wood, and try to just shove it in here to push against the foam and hold it in place. And then I'll just take this, try like that. So that should work. This feels really solid. It's holding this in place nice. I'm going to do this again for the other 3. There's this one, 3 more. And then I will show you when I'm done. Okay, so I have these boards in place now, holding in the foam. What I want to do now, see that? What I want to do now is take this foam, or the wool I mean, put it up against this, and I have a stapler gun here that I want to try to use to staple the wool into this. Did that work? No. Okay, so instead of stapling into this, I guess I need to staple into this. So I'll try that. That. All right, here we are. So you can see there's still a little bit to do with this. Like for instance right here, I need to find a way to hold this down because the staples going into the foam just does not work. It has no grip. The foam, it just pulls right out. Even if it goes in far, it just pulls right out. So I need to figure out what to do about that. I don't know what to do about that, but I have to do something. But for now, maybe I can just get a little bit of glue, some kind of normal glue, put it here, push this in, that'll probably be fine. Something like that. But for now, I think this works well enough. It's holding up. There's still a little bit to do, but I can work that out later. I took some of the excess from these because I had to kind of cut them short down there. I took the excess and was patting it in up there. So it's going to look something like this towards the end. On this side, before I put in the insulation, I have a panel I want to put in right there. So I think I'm going to try to put that in before I put in the insulation. But the other side is going to look more or less like this. So I'm going to get started on that. So I just spent about an hour or so building this little cubby right here. This little compartment, whatever you want to call this, just like the fuse box right here, is going to house some electrical stuff. So the charge controller for the solar panels, I plan on sitting right here. You can see the charge controller is right there actually. So I plan on the charge controller sitting right here, and then probably some wires for 12 volts stuff will go right here. Like 12 volts needs to go to the pump for the water, and also the lights that I put in the ceiling will need 12 volts as well, so I need a little receptacle or whatever to plug those wires into. But I'm going to screw in the charge controller and stuff some insulation behind these panels. And here we are. Got my charge controller screwed in now. It's nice and secure. So whenever I'm ready, I just need to plug in down here the battery and the batteries and solar panels. So when I'm ready to do that, I have this in place now. In the meantime, before I put in the 12 volt receptacle things I plan on putting in there, I think I'm going to stuff in some of the wool insulation, see if I can get that secured down. Because if that's in place, then the walls are looking pretty good. So I'm going to work on that next. And here we are. As you can see here, I still have a good amount of insulation left. I actually have a lot. So, there's definitely places that I can double up some of the insulation, stuff in extra more. You can see there's nooks and crannies like this that I still need to put a little bit. But some of the more important spots I can definitely double up. Some of this I still need to find a way to stick down. Like right here, I don't really have a good spot to stick that to. I'll probably run and grab some kind of glue for little corners like this. But for the most part, this stuff looks good to me. It's being held down. Once I put the boards in, none of this is going to move at all. So I think this is all looking pretty good. So with all this insulation in, what is my next big goal? I guess my next big goal is to finish up a lot of the 12-volt wiring, which will require me making a connection to the batteries and giving a place to connect that to. And then I can hook up the pump, and once the pump is hooked up to power, I can actually test the plumbing and the faucet and see if there's any leaks. And if there's any leaks, address it. But I'm pretty sure with the way I have everything hooked up down here, I'm not going to have any problems. But this installation is a big step. I am one step closer to having the walls covered up. Then once the walls are covered up, the roof is next, and then the floor as well, and there's really not that much left. So I'm pretty happy with this. I think I'm going to address some of the small areas like right there after this, and then maybe be done for the day and set my mind on something else. But I like this. So I shall catch you another time.